All right, let's talk about something that's absolutely critical for any democracy to work: courage, specifically judicial courage. It's this quality we just expect our judges to have. But have you ever stopped to think about where it actually comes from and why it's so important? Well, that's what we're diving into today.
So, yeah, let's just start right there. Courage, bravery, what is it really? I mean, we all know it when we see it, right? But where does it come from? Is it something you're just born with, or is it something you find along the way?
Well, the way our source material breaks it down, courage seems to flow from three different places. For some people, it's just there. It's an innate blessing, something they're born with. For others, it's sparked by something really powerful, like love. And then there's a third kind, which is maybe the most interesting one. It's born from a deep sense of duty. And that second one, the courage that comes from love, wow, that's the stuff of legends, isn't it? I mean, think about it. The source gives this great example of a pet dog, completely outmatched, staring down a tiger just to protect its master. That's pure instinctual bravery right there. It's absolutely incredible. But here's the thing. As amazing as that is, that kind of courage, well, it's not something you can build a society on. For the whole system to work, for the very fabric of how we all live together, the most critical type of courage is that third one, the one that comes from a sense of duty. That's the courage that keeps things fair. That's the one that keeps things just. There's a fantastic literary example of this. In one of the greatest short stories ever, Panch Parmeshwar by Munshi Premchand, this whole idea just comes to life. You have this adjudicator, and he has to make a ruling in a case, but one of the people involved is someone he has a really strained personal relationship with. But what does he do? He puts all of that aside. He serves justice impartially. That is duty in action. And this is where we see a huge difference. For most of us, for you and me, courage is, well, it's strategic. Our first instinct is to protect our own, our family. We weigh the risks, we make calculations. But for a judge, the whole calculation is flipped on its head. Their number one duty isn't to themselves or their family, it's to the laws of the republic. It doesn't matter what the personal cost is. It doesn't matter who is involved. Okay, but that leads to a pretty obvious and pretty tough question, right? If a judge's job is to be impartial, even when they're up against the most powerful people in the country, we're talking cabinet ministers, chief ministers, you name it, how on earth can we expect them to do that? How can they possibly act without fear? It's a huge ask. But the answer, and frankly, the genius of the whole setup, is baked right into the system. It's found in the Constitution of India. The system was designed to make this kind of courage not just possible, but expected. Think of it like a constitutional shield. That's what it's often called. This shield gives a really unique, really powerful level of independence, specifically to judges in the higher courts, so the high courts and the Supreme Court. And make no mistake, this wasn't an accident. It was a very deliberate, very crucial design choice. So what's the point of this shield? It's simple, really. It's to free a judge from all that outside noise, from political pressure, from the influence of powerful people, from the fear of what might happen to them. It's designed to let them do their one and only job, to serve the laws of the republic, period, faithfully and without bias. Okay, so that's all the theory. It sounds great on paper, but what happens when the rubber meets the road? Let's look at some real-world examples of this courage in action when the system was really, truly tested. Let's take a look at the Azam Khan case from 2016. Here's the situation. You've got some really serious allegations against a very powerful cabinet minister. Now, the problem was obvious. The state police just weren't in a position to act freely. And this, right here, is exactly why that constitutional shield is so important. The Supreme Court could step in, take charge, and deal with the whole thing head on. It was a clear signal that the law applies to everyone, no matter how powerful. And then there's the ADM Jabalpur case. This one is huge. It was a historic moment that really, truly tested the spine of the entire judiciary. It's become a benchmark, a measuring stick for judicial courage ever since. And right in the middle of that firestorm, one judge, Justice Khanna, stood alone. He was the lone dissenting voice, and his courage, well, it became legendary. His powerful stance in defending fundamental rights has just echoed down through the decades. It has shaped and inspired countless judges who came after him. And this isn't just some dusty old story from the history books. It's a living, breathing tradition. Even today, you have judges like Rantan Nariman and Justice Muraldar, and many others, of course, who are pointed to as examples of people carrying that torch. They've discharged their duties, often under incredible pressure, and they've kept that majesty of the judicial office alive and well. Which really brings us to the main point of all this. That special kind of courage, the one that's duty-bound, the one that's protected by the Constitution, it might just be the greatest blessing of our entire modern system of governance. Why? Because it's the ultimate backstop. It's the final line of defense that makes sure the rule of law actually means something. So in the end, we're right back where we started, with that sense of duty. And I think Munshi Premchand, in that same story we talked about, Panch Parmeshwar, said it best. He wrote that the cause of justice is a calling which is compelling in its beauty. What a powerful idea, and it's a thought that's definitely worth holding on to. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.